Welcome to the ACC Panic Room alongside Lauren Brownlow. I'm Joe Ovies. If you told NC State fans that not only were you missing Devon Daniels tonight because of an ACL injury, but you also were not going to have DJ Funderburk for mysterious school-related reasons going up against Syracuse, you probably go, oh, what are the Carolina Hurricanes doing? But instead, NC State actually put up a pretty good fight and came up short there at the end, but if you're Kevin Keatts, you probably are looking at this as a learning experience for a lot of the younger guys or guys like Jericho Helms who are in an increased role to put up.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And they showed a lot of fight. Like, I mean, it's a cliche. And like, you don't want a good job, good effort. Then I know they don't necessarily want that either. But like,
you said it, not me. I wasn't going to use that phrase, Lauren. Wasn't going to use that phrase.
It's applicable in this scenario because, look, they told us the whole time after the game the other day, they were like, we're okay. Like, obviously we love Devon and miss him, but we'll be okay. And then you add Funderburk to the mix, and they didn't find out that long before the game, and it's like, okay, wow, this is a lot. But everybody just kind of stepped up. And, yeah, I think that will be important for them in the future, too, because now you've got guys that know they kind of need to step up their play. And you saw a lot of guys do exactly that in this game. And it's the first half especially, like, they just played really well. They had a really good game plan. They did whatever they wanted to do, offensively especially. And, like, I was impressed with the way they came out. Like you said, they came up short, but, we'll see. The question is, can they sustain it? I mean, I don't know that yet, but they have to be pretty happy with, State fans have to be pretty happy with it. And Kevin Keatts taking his first L to Syracuse since he took over.
Yeah, those are the types of things that I don't get too wrapped up in, unless we're counting the Josh Pastner stat with Kevin Keatts versus Georgia Tech. That's something that he probably needs to go ahead and break at this point. Yeah, I'm with you in that if you're going to be watching NC State the rest of the season, if you decide to watch NC State the rest of the season, you're simply watching to see what you have in the future, right? Because otherwise, they're not making the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
They're not going to. We don't even know what the ACC tournament's going to be like either, because that's another thing. Oh, you never know. These guys can get hot, whatever it is. Gilio and I were actually talking about this past week with the Devon Daniels injury, and even if Devon Daniels was not hurt in that win over Wake Forest, you're kind of looking at what they've got left on the slate and going, what are they really going for here? So I agreed with Gilio in this regard. You might as well just rip the Band-Aid off and give your young guys an opportunity to step up and play and get the reps and start eyeballing 2022. Now, here's the interesting question that I didn't necessarily agree with Gilio on this one, but I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this. If you're not going to make the NCAA tournament, and you have the Dennis Smith independent review process NCAA thing going on. I don't even know what the proper terminology is, but you have something down the line regarding the Dennis Smith Jr. FBI scandal, right? Do you go ahead and say, yeah, we'll go ahead and accept our punishment now, like a postseason ban or whatever it is? We've seen this in the ACC before. We saw Louisville do this. We saw Syracuse
Georgia Tech most famously.
Yeah, right. So all these things, there's precedent for this, and precedent when you announce you're going to do it.
Right.
And I don't know if NC State's going to do this, but my general attitude is, when it comes to the independent review process, when it comes to what the NCAA is trying to do with this particular scandal, I don't know if that's good enough, or if you can't count on the NCAA saying, okay, we'll accept this postseason ban and that's going to be it, along with whatever probation they put you on. But I am curious what you think about that possibility. I know Gilio wrote about it on WRLSportsFan.com earlier in the week.
I mean, I guess it depends on how likely it is that you get multiple. And they haven't handed out a whole lot of multiples lately, to be honest. No. So there's that. And then it does seem a little bit like State is trying to make a point. They're not just laying down for this. They haven't just laid down for this the whole time. I guess it also depends on how quickly that case gets heard. If it gets heard,
That's the great unknown.
Right.
And that's the other reason why I am hesitant. I got what the point. I got the point.
Yeah.
And the argument is valid. I understand all the reasons why you would just go ahead and say forget it. Let's just go serve the postseason ban now. But I usually go for two things when it comes to the NCAA. They are predictably unpredictable. So I don't know how they're going to dole out punishment in this particular case. And what you just mentioned, I don't know what the process is. Nobody knows what this process is like, right? I mean, the whole thing with the independent review process was supposed to be a little bit more of a fair shake for everybody, but I don't know how long it's going to take. They got the other fish to fry too with Kansas and everybody else. So I wouldn't even chance it that you do this and then next thing you know the case is still ongoing.
I will say this too, though. And I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree with you about like the likelihood of this happening. We all understand is small. However, I think I would give them at least a couple more. I mean, you don't have to do it right now, anyways. You could wait.
No, you don't. You don't have to do that. I think
we're detected in March. Like, there's precedent for this. So
this is a thing.
See, like, wait and see. I'm not saying like wait and see and like wait if you make a magical run, but I mean this team is still fighting and still trying, and I think it's hard to put a group like this that, like you said, has a lot of young guys on it. You're waiting to see what you get out of these guys. It's hard to take that group and be like, yeah, so we're not going to the postseason. Like right now, I don't think like you're not going to get a lot of like you're certainly not going to get a simulation of what you might get in the future, right? Like you're going to naturally get a little bit of a drop off in effort, I think, if you do that, or at least in their spirit. And their spirit seems to be really good right now. So
I'm with you on that.
I wouldn't.
And the other thing too is that we don't even know when DJ Funderburk's going to come back. That was the interesting part in the post game with Kevin Keats. I know CL Brown had asked him about the timetable when they found out DJ Funderburk was not going to play in this game, and it was like a university policy. And Keats said that he knew that was the case just before they left or just after they left.
Yeah.
And then we found out, like an hour before the game time, as you mentioned. And then when he was asked if he was going to be in the lineup for the game against Virginia on Wednesday, Kevin Keats gave a non-answer. He honestly doesn't know. And looking at KenPom, I'm looking at KenPom right now in terms of what kind of season you can expect out of NC State. And again, these are just projections. It's just, KenPom can obviously be wrong. But he's only marked 3 more wins for NC State the rest of the way. That's at Boston College, against Wake Forest, and against Pitt. And then if you kind of project it out now, NC State would be 7-10 in the ACC, 11-11 overall. I mean, that's not an NCAA tournament resume. But I get your point too. And I guess that's the thing. There's no right answer on how to handle the rest of the season. And I think we can all agree on one thing, and that is just let these young dudes play. We kind of alluded to this yesterday on the Panic Room after Duke's win, and what we've talked about with North Carolina as well. Duke and Carolina have been put in a position where their freshman guards had to play, right? And those freshman guards, especially in the case of Carolina, they've had more reps up until this point. North Carolina has been incredibly lucky that they have not found themselves in any sort of COVID pause. They've had games that had to be rescheduled and things like that, but they themselves have not gone through a COVID pause. Duke went through their own self-imposed when they took a break, right, in the holidays, but that was just against non-conference competition. So those two teams have seen their freshman guards get better, and the results are starting to pay off. With State, it was the balancing of the two, right? Because you still had Devon Daniels doing so much for you and being so important to this team. And then you asked for Cam Hayes and Shaquille Moore, specifically Shaquille Moore, to pick their spots and pick you up when need be. Now that Devon Daniels is out of the lineup with the ACL, I mean, you might as well just throw them out there and see what they've got and build them up towards 2022. And maybe you're right. Maybe by not accepting or not offering up an NCAA tournament or a postseason ban on your own, you at least give these guys something to fight for. Because you're right, there could be a situation where if you say, all right, we're done for the season, no postseason at all, we don't know how the team's going to react. So I don't think there's a right answer in this other than I think we all agree you might as well give those freshman guards more time to play.
Yeah, I agree. I do think if they did decide to do that and self-impose, they should wait as late as they can to make that call because there's no reason to do it until you absolutely have to. And I think you lose, like you said, you lose a lot of value of like what you would see out of those freshmen, I think, if you do that. So, I mean, who knows? Like, I think that's about right what Ken Palm's projected. I could see them getting a couple more in there, but you always have to factor in the stupid loss. You do. Like
You're right.
They
You're
play
right.
Duke twice. They usually beat Duke once. That seems to be an annual tradition, right? Like,
Yeah,
so I'm just
I
saying,
don't
like,
know. I don't know.
it's not as, all I'm saying is like the team I saw tonight anyway, and I know they usually play well against Syracuse. They do get Syracuse again, but the team I saw tonight with like the fight that they showed, and I think that they have the potential to have a strong end to the season and at least flirt with making the tournament. I don't think they will, because I think that would be too high of a mountain to climb, so to speak. But I think that I don't know that it'll be quite as dire as I thought it would be. Again, it's one game, so don't want to overreact too much, but.
By the way, before we get out of here, shout out to Jordan Cornette of the ACC Network, he's doing double duty today. I mean, I heard him earlier. I heard him earlier doing some ESPN radio with his wife, and then I catch him with Wes Durham on this broadcast with NC State and Syracuse. And at some point, he was very much adamant that you might as well put Kadary Richmond out there on the court, right? Like, give him the minutes. He's a matchup problem. If I think it was Gerard that he wanted to get out of the lineup.
Yes.
If I remember how he was talking about
I think eventually Boeheim played Richmond with Gerard, but yeah.
Eventually, yeah. But he's like, I don't want to question the Hall of Famer Jim Boeheim. I'm just saying, at this point, give him the looks. Sure enough, Richmond comes in and he's 6 or 7 for the field in about 14 minutes of play time. He was a huge difference maker down the stretch for Syracuse. So
I need to
he was a matchup problem for him.
I need to shout out Jordan for what he said about Hakeem Warwick, which was that he was longer than a CVS receipt, which that made me scream in my bunker downstairs. And it took Wes Durham, a pro, a minute to like recover from that, as he was just dying laughing. And it was excellent. That was a great line. That's one of those lines that you wish that you could have like come up with.
Yes, absolutely. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the ACC Panic Room. We'll see y'all later in the week with plenty to talk about. Both North Carolina and Duke play Monday and Tuesday ahead of their Battle of the Blues showdown on Saturday. So we'll get you ready for that one as the week goes on. Later.